All right, all right, all right. Yo, Lethal Town 24 dive bombing at you with some Eagles content. Yeah, so the Eagles win 22-14 against the Chicago Bears. And it was pretty close to what I predicted. It was technically I was 1 point off. um damn. But I'm not happy about this win. I'm happy that we got the win, and I'm really just gonna go into it like this. Offensively, I'm gonna start with the coaches. When you have a game plan to run the ball, when running the ball is working with Jordan Howard, mixing in with Miles Sanders, and he even gave us a little Sproles. When you get into the red zone and your running back is basically killing it, and you're maybe 15 yards out from the goal line, you need to keep running that ball. It makes no sense when you start getting cute and start doing the little screens and they're like, well, if that worked, they didn't. And that's the thing. You have one of the top running backs in the league, or the third leading rusher in the league. And you stop running him when you're in the red zone. See, that's what kills your drives right there. They were in one time with Howard, and then they start throwing the ball, start being cute, starting to roll out to the right, and have Wentz try to make a play. Nobody's open. You know, you could have got it to Dallas Goedert. This was on the first drive. They could have got it to Dallas Goedert, or that's what it looked like at first, but he was covered. All these guys are covered. Ertz was covered. Um, I think Howard's on that play, but he was blocking. So, I mean, you got to keep pounding the ball in. But, shout out, I'll say this, like, shout out to that offensive line. Um, More often than not, they were opening holes for Howard, and Howard was hitting those holes. They need to they need to sign that boy now, because our offense flows so much better with him. And then you sprinkle in Miles Sanders. Now, I know everybody wants to, say that Miles Sanders is the future. Miles Sanders, and he can hit the home run. That's great, but he's inconsistent. He is inconsistent. He's seeing the holes better. You can see that. He's seeing the holes better, but he's inconsistent. And see, I know this is his first year and all that stuff. But if I'm Doug Peterson and I'm looking at, and he's talking about going with the hot hand, but if I'm looking at where am I getting the most production, it's Jordan Howard. And he needs to be the focal point of our running game, period, point blank. That's it. Have the offense or him. Now, or have the offense, make him our staple running back. And they did a good job with that today. The offensive line opened up some holes. The protection was pretty good. They gave up 2 sacks, but for the most part, with Khalil Mack moving and having to go against Lane Johnson held up Khalil Mack pretty well, and Andre Dillard, he did his thing. So the future is bright with Andre Dillard. The future is very bright with him. Howie definitely nailed on him. He nailed it. He got it. He nailed it with him. So, from here, Grow is also killing this. He's killing the dynamics of this team as far as play calling, and Doug, Doug has got to start. He's got to start being consistent. If there's a play that he doesn't agree with, he just needs to stop having blind faith in Grow, and then letting Grow do his thing or whatever. Because either way, they need to get this straight. Whatever they're doing, they need to have a consistent plan. If we go in against the Patriots like this, we are going to be in a lot of trouble. And Howie needs to do a job. do his job and bring in another wide receiver. As far as the wide receivers go, Nelson was probably the only wide receiver to not drop a ball today. And that should tell you something. Because if Alshon is dropping balls, injured or not, that's troublesome. That's not something we can be relying upon. And we signed him. I mean, he's going to be getting paid next year. And then Deshaun, he can't even see the field. He's going to be paying next year. He needs to go ahead and have that surgery, and that's it. That is it. He needs to go ahead, have that surgery, and cut his losses. Because him trying to, avoid the surgery and not, and let it heal on its own is not going to work. When it's basically, tearing his groin. And those things take a while to heal. They heal better after or when you have the surgery. When they're able to correct them, they can fix it, then he can heal up. He would be back to basically his normal self. He was out there for maybe 4 plays, and then that's it. Then you got Alshon going out. You have JJ stepping in for him. He can't get open. Nelson can't get open. I mean, our offense is going to have to go through the running game. And the coaches, they won't do any kind of play action. You do none of this. They won't take a shot down the field unless it's to Aguilar. Mac Hollins can't get open, and when he's called upon to make a play, he's trying to push off or he's committing some kind of boneheaded penalty. That penalty that he had for holding, he just bear hugs the guy. Who does that? He talks about being a special teamer. One of the main things about being a special teamer is blocking. And he goes over there and hugs him. The offensive line was making holes. People were making plays. But make no mistake, they were making bonehead penalties. So that's the negative I can say about that. Another negative, yes, Alshon Jeffrey. If this doesn't tell the Philadelphia Eagles head or front office, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, to get somebody, I don't care if it's J.J. Nelson, I don't care if it's Jordan Matthews, I don't care if it's A.B. I prefer A.B. because he's the best wide receiver out of all of them. Put Deshaun Jackson on IR, sign A.B., and get Wentz some weapons. Yes, I know Wentz did a good job in making sure the ball was protected. He missed Alshon on the deep ball. But at this point, it's 50-50 of whether or not these guys, even Alshon's getting to a point where it's 50-50 if he catches it. And that's telling. We need to get wide receivers in here. We need that. When we go up against the Patriots like this, we are going to get blown out again for the 3rd time this season. And that cannot happen. That cannot friggin' happen. So we need to make something happen. We need to make sure that we're protecting Wentz so Wentz doesn't hold on to the ball way too long and then possibly get himself hurt. Speaking of Wentz also needs to learn to throw the ball away and quit taking unnecessary hits. He's still doing that. When it's, what was it, I think it was a 2nd down and 10, dropping back the pass, he has no one open, so he tries to run, and it's a 5-step drop. He tries to run back up to the line of scrimmage to basically get no yards. He dives to get no yards. He could have just thrown it away. He took an extra hit for nothing. He's got to grow more as a quarterback. He's got to realize that he has to get out of the pocket and throw the ball out of bounds. That is better than taking an unnecessary hit, and he's still doing that. Well, I mean, the only guys that stepped up really were Ertz and Goddard. Sanders in the passing game. Someone in the running game, he did okay. But Jordan Howard did a lot more than he did. But, I mean, in the short passing game, we're okay. We can move the ball that way. But we don't scare any defenses by throwing deep. Wentz also has to learn how to put more touch on his deep throws. At least give Alshon a chance because he overthrew him. But I mean, overall, I don't have a problem with Wentz and his gameplay. So I just think that, I mean, when he came down, he came through and he was clutch with it. So, I mean, you know, shout out to the guys, to those guys. Jordan Howard closed it up for us, you know, and Sproles, man, I love Sproles. But after this year, him and Jason Peters do not need to be back. I hate to say it. I love them both, but they do not need to be back. And Howie, as I said before in my other videos, he better not miss any draft picks whatsoever because we cannot afford it. You know, when you have DK Metcalf out there versus JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who nobody's really ever heard of. I mean, even the scouts, they knew about him and everything like that. But if no teams are really chomping at the bit to get this guy, you know he's got issues. And there was like saying that that DK couldn't run routes. He could only run routes and all that stuff. Well, you know, at first, you know, a lot of the times Deshaun Jackson didn't run a lot of routes either. He just went deep. And he built up upon that. And that's what you expect a wide receiver to do, is grow. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is JJ Arcega-Whiteside's first year, but I mean, for them to have more faith in Miles Sanders as a second round pick, and then for them not to have enough faith in JJ Arcega-Whiteside, that's telling. You can say he's backup all you want, but he shouldn't. I mean, they're forcing Miles Sanders out in the field, but they won't force JJ Arcega-Whiteside out in the field in Mack Hollins' spot. Mack Hollins has not produced. He has not done anything. Stop putting him in there. Take him out. You got one choice. Sign a wide receiver. If you want a speedy wide receiver, you go ahead and get J.J. Nelson. If you want somebody that could be at least somewhat productive, you get Jordan Matthews. If you want somebody to actually take you seriously and really have to think about defending you, you sign AB. That's it. That's it. And I mean, it's great that we're basically just keeping the ball out of Wentz's hands, and you know, we're relying on a running game, but we are a dynamic, we are an explosive team, and we need to be showing that to the league. And as of right now, there's really no team that actually fears us. But they better not underestimate us, because we end up we'll end up beating teams. But if they come out with it, cool. Now, you know, it'd be cool, but you know, we have more of a chance to win. But as of right now, I mean, these teams, you know, especially the secondaries, they're not going to fear us at all. Now, as far as the defense came out really well. They came out playing really well. They were stopping things, but then, you know, they were getting pressure at first, and then, you know, they got to Mitchell Trubisky. A lot of times they made him force throws. They moved him off his spot and forced inaccurate throws. But then they started max protecting on the offensive side of the ball. The Bears did. And then you can see like how that affects us when teams max protect against us, and it's harder for us to get to the quarterback. When they give the time to the quarterback to make a play, it did it. And then it seemed like a lot of the times that they were playing, they were keeping everything underneath. They were stopping Allen Robinson. He wasn't getting open. But where they were taking advantage of us was through Montgomery. They locked in on Cohen. They stopped Cohen. They stopped Robinson. And they had to beat us with Gabriel and Montgomery. So, I mean, like, I give the props where props is due, you know. The defense came out doing really great, and then in the second half, the Bears made adjustments, figured we need to max protect, and test our secondary with the deep ball. And I mean, if it had not been for the Taylor Gabriel play that set up their touchdown, the first touchdown with Montgomery, and then the second time, or almost the second time, where they threw it to Allen Robinson, and Allen Robinson basically, once he hit the ground, the ball just popped out of his hand. So, I mean, and Jalen Mills was with him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Avonte Maddox looked good. I mean, he definitely looked good in coverage. He looked like he was to himself. So, props to him. And, Darby looked pretty good as well. But we got to make sure, we are preventing these deep balls. And when you have Jenkins, who's playing too far down, trying to stop the run, he left Mills out on the island. And that's when, he had, Mills had no help. And that's when Taylor Gabriel was able to make that catch and get them in a position in the red zone to where they could score. Like, I understand Jenkins wants to make plays, but he has to be able to be the safety net for our corners. And we cannot afford to be getting burnt like that, especially against Tom Brady. If Trubisky can do that, imagine what Tom Brady is going to be doing. If we stop, just looking forward to their next game a little bit. If we were able to stop their run game, the Patriots run game, they could just beat us with the pass. And it doesn't matter if we make them one-dimensional, because that's basically their dimension. They can pass the ball, and if you don't want us passing the ball, we can run the ball on you. That's going to be an uphill battle, but I'm not going to focus on that too much today. But overall, we made the plays that we needed to make in order to win the game. But if we're going to be better, we need to get better talent in here. And we need to make sure that, we're not only well prepared for the next game, but, we need to make sure that we're consistent. Our consistency is showing throughout the whole game. We cannot afford to make any more mistakes, especially against the next two teams that we got coming up. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Great win. EAGLES Eagles. That's what's up. Enjoy the win. Victory Monday coming up. And, just enjoy the day. It's going to be a good Monday. But until then, enjoy the Sunday. You guys take care.